Loving the dance moves, Jane and Danny Cowie. Love it, love it. I love our Sunday nights. Massive welcome to everybody on the call. My name is Danni Wells and I am an independent consultant and regional vice president with Arbonne International. And tonight is a really, really exciting night, as every Sunday night is. But we've got a whole other region on our call tonight. So we have got the Hopwood region joining us because the incredible executive regional vice president Sean Hopwood is going to share a bit about his story with us all tonight and his top tips, as am I going to share a bit about my story and my top tips with everybody. My team, I know you're probably bored of hearing my story, but there's going to be other people on that haven't heard it yet, so that's going to be absolutely fun. You're going to get a little bit of the people in the region position that are going to share with you all of our top tips and everything is to take us to where we are now. So before we begin, a little bit of housekeeping for the McCarthy Nation success lines. I'm just going to share my screen so that I can share a few bits and pieces with you all. Love Jennifer Cowie's dancing there. I bet the recording won't show that. It would be such a shame. Okay, so it is Wednesday, it is Sunday the 21st, and we have got tonight's team training by myself and Sean Hopwood. So, bit of weekly recognition for the past week. Massive welcome to the new business builders. So a huge welcome to Laura Conlin, sponsored by DMQ Steph Bird, and a huge welcome to Sarah Hellstrip, sponsored by myself. Welcome to the team. Roger Bannister Achievers. So these are the people that have maintained their business within the first half of the month. So if you're an independent consultant, this is turning over 1,000 QB by mid-month. If your district is turning over your maintenance by mid-month, incredible, and so on. So a huge welcome to District Manager Angela Brunning, District Manager in Qualification Steph Bird, Area Manager in Qualification Caroline Stalker, Regional Vice President in Qualification Nikki Marchant, and District Manager in Qualification Hayley Louise Smith. Woo! Okay, GTC bracelet incentive. So this is an incentive for everybody, whether you went to GTC or not. So head office have set as a challenge, if by April the 22nd to May the 31st, we sponsor 3 newbies into the business, and that could be a mix of PCs or consultants, as long as one of them, at least one is a consultant. Other than that, it can be a mix. They have to do 250 PQB in their start month, which is obviously their orders and their clients and PC orders all mixed together. You earn yourself a bracelet or a little cufflinks if you're a man, little man cuff there. So a massive well done to District Manager Christy Payton and National Vice President in Qualification Fiona McCarthy. Woo! Okay, we've got a brand new District Manager in Qualification this week, so a huge huge well done to District Manager in Qualification, Amanda Skinner. Woo! Bonus achievers. So this week we've got a District Manager bonus achiever in National Vice President in Qualification, Fiona McCarthy. Independent consultant cash bonus, District Manager in Qualification, Amanda Young. Woo! Okay, some dates for the diary. So 4 dates here. So Monday the 5th of June, we've got Nation Training. So our region and Fiona's region is coming together, which we do every 3 months, and that's in Bedford. That's from 7 p.m. onwards. If you have earned yourself the dinner and drinks incentive, that's from 5 p.m. at the exact same venue, so we don't have to move around. Next one is new Regional Vice President Katie Dyken's car presentation, which is on June the 10th in Battle, which is near Hastings. So that's great for you guys on the South Coast. Saturday the 17th of June is our Summer Team Fun Day, and I believe today is the last day to buy your ticket at the early bird price. And then on Sunday the 2nd of July, we've got our 6-monthly Leadership Academy in Kettering. So here's some pictures there. If anyone like me is a bit like, where's Bedford? Then I've put a screenshot of the map here, because this is what I have to do. Whenever somebody new starts the business and they tell me where they're from, I have to go onto Google Maps and figure out where the heck it is. That's where Bedford is. Danny's pointed up. Doncaster. Anybody in my team will know that I always think everything's in Doncaster. It's always near Doncaster, no matter where it is. Katie Dycon's car presentation, there's the flyer for it. That includes food as well. Team Fun Day, there's some pictures from when we went last year to Conkers for our summer Team Fun Day. So tickets, early bird tickets end today. And also don't forget that you can now purchase your AAC ticket for our annual once a year UK conference, which is in September up in Glasgow. And then the dates have also been released for our global training conference that happens once a year in Las Vegas. So they're next year. So the dates have already been announced. So you can start booking your childcare, booking your flights, booking your accommodation. We just can't get the tickets for the conference yet. Okay, so now I'm going to hand over. So Sean Hopwood, this guy is incredible, right? This man, he's an absolute lifer in Arbonne, and I can't wait for you guys to hear him speak. The guys that are in, not in Sean's region, I'm sure everyone in Sean's region has heard him speak. This man has been in the catalogue, and interestingly enough, it was the first catalogue that I had when I started Arbonne, and he was in the catalogue, and I was like, that man's from Britain. That is so exciting. Like, I couldn't believe it. This guy has just been such an inspiration to me, and I know for many of us in the team. I remember watching him do the What Men Want at AAC. I wasn't at AAC, but I watched the recording because I started my business after that AAC. And I always remember Fiona McCarthy saying that, I don't know what year it was, but she said only 3 of us from the UK earned an award, and I think it was the ACE Award or Paysetter, and her saying what an absolute marvel Sean Hopwood is. So I'm really excited tonight because he's going to share a little bit about his story, a little bit about his journey, and his top tips for you all. So please give a massive welcome to Executive Regional Vice President Sean Hopwood. Woo!
I love that for an introduction with the music. Thank you. Where the hell did you dig that picture out with the red glasses and the pout on with Sarah May?
It was brilliant.
I thought that was long gone, that one. Yeah, thank you for introduction. Great to be on tonight with everybody. I'm super excited to be sharing myself and your incredible leader, Daniela. We've had some good chats over the last few weeks. So really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share for all of you that haven't met yet or that don't know about my story. I'm going to share a little bit about that with you and then go on to sort of the three top tips that have really helped my business and people within my business have success. So 4.5 years ago, when I got introduced to this opportunity, I was already in the entrepreneurial world. It was something I'd always decided I was going to do. I'd always said to my parents and my family that I'm just never going to have a job. So opportunities, when they came along, I was receptive to them. I was looking at them. So unlike most of the people that you hear from when starting the business, I was kind of, as soon as I heard it, I was just all in. I wanted to just have a good go at it. I had a photography business at the time. I had a nightclub business as well. I was doing some part-time modelling, and I had a few other things going on. I had tons of stuff. So first of all, what gets me is people that talk about being too busy. Now that is just that. Let me tell you what my schedule was like. I used to be in my studio at 8 o'clock every morning, right through till 6 in the evening. And then the 2 hours after that, myself and business partner, we'd get out of the studio because we were kind of tired of being there. And for 2 hours, we'd then piece together everything from the day, doing all the stuff we'd not had time to do because we were shooting all day. We did this 7 days a week, this Monday right through to Sunday. We also, on the Saturday night and at the weekends, we'd be mobile because we went doing events. We had some days where we were doing these photography parties that we used to do. We'd drive to Brighton in the morning, do these parties, and we'd drive back in the evening, back to Leeds, where I was living at the time, and I'd go straight to the nightclub, which I had an event that ran from sort of 10 o'clock till 4 in the morning. I'd be back in the studio at 8:30 on the Sunday morning, and again, right through till 6. So that's what I did when I was starting this business. And then it filled in because I knew when I saw this opportunity that it didn't, there was something. Sometimes something comes along like love at first sight or those cliches that you hear. But I knew that when I first saw this opportunity that this was the something that was going to make me, that was going to take me to that next level, that was going to hit all the ambitions, all the dreams, all the goals that I'd ever had in my life were actually encapsulated in Arbonne and the opportunity. So I jumped at it when presented to it by now National Vice President Nicola Smithson and Executive National Vice President Yvonne Dixon, at the time DM, District Manager and a consultant. And it was so funny how they presented that opportunity. We even had an ex-Premiership footballer who was there, which kind of really caught my attention. But he was sort of, obviously it's a health and wellness event. He's outside having a fag, right, football. I'm thinking, well, this is great, isn't it? What's actually going on here? All the ladies are having a couple of glasses of wine and stuff. But I just liked the environment. I liked the people. And I saw something in it. So I just decided that this is for me. So I fitted it in and around that busy schedule. I didn't think when I thought of it, what I'm going to take more on. Am I taking too much on at this moment? I just got on with it. Nooks and crannies like we talk about. Half an hour on my lunch break, message someone. Just after I'd met with my business partner, I'd go and do back-to-back one-to-ones. And we say, the busier you are, the better you're going to be at this business. And it's so true. Why is it so true? Because you make that time count. And that's a really important thing to think of. And I was actually speaking to a good friend and district manager, David Bridges, recently, and just giving him some guidance and some advice, because he's quite busy with his football coaching and stuff in the minute. And it was key what I was saying to him. I was saying, you can't get to your 1 or 2 days that are free and then just sort of all of a sudden in those 1 or 2 days be thinking, oh, I need to do some activity. You have to plan for that activity. You know you're busy. So you know when you wake up on that Tuesday, when you wake up on that Wednesday that you've got your 3 hours, you have to know exactly what you're doing. You have to have booked back-to-back one-to-ones. You have to have booked back-to-back team calls, Zooms, and make the most of those half an hours. The magic with this business and the magic with any kind of success is people utilize the time better. We all have 24 hours a day, as we know. But what's the difference? The difference is simple. The difference is people make that little pockets of time feel like this big, because they fit so much into it and they just are so efficient with that. And that's it. Your time is the most valuable thing you'll ever have. So just make the most of it and plan that when you've got that free time, that you're going to make sure you hit activity. So I started my journey. The first year was incredible. It was an absolute rocket ship. Went to region in 11 months, won multiple awards at AAC. As Daniela said, an ACE award. So I was on stage with Fiona McCarthy. We both won it that year, the only 2 from the UK. The 3 actually Sarah Law as well. And that's where I think that picture was. And so it was a complete and utter rocket ship from 0 right through to region, and then national vice president qualification after 15 months. And that whole journey, what was it? I was just, like I've said, I was just so consistent. I was so efficient with my time, and I just made sure that I didn't overwhelm myself by trying to just take too much knowledge. I knew that the most important thing was me getting out there and speaking to people. I didn't need to know everything about products. I didn't need to know everything about the business, because that's not what was going to serve me. I knew that I'd learn that further down the line. What I knew is I needed urgency in my blood, in my bones, and I needed to get out there and speak to people before other people did from this business or from other network marketing businesses. I treated this as a matter of life and death. And it really was that mentality that I adopted, that why everything went as it did. I learned so much. I plugged into I remember one story was one of the biggest, talking about planning. I booked a one-to-one in London, and this was before we'd had Zoom 4.5 years ago. So it was kind of just get in your car, go and do meetings all the time. So I drove all the way down to London, 4-hour journey. Got down there. I'd arranged to meet the person maybe the week before. Get down there, message them sort of 15 minutes before we were meeting. They messaged back saying, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I forgot we were meeting today. I've got other plans." I was like, "Oof, okay, I've just driven to London. And this was early days. This was early on. I think I'd maybe just about gone area qual after sort of 3 months. And I'm down there. You know what? I took total responsibility because I didn't check with that person. I didn't check in. I didn't say, are we still meeting tomorrow? So there's a lesson. Always double check, or I end up driving to London. I turned around. I drove straight back. But you know what? 8 hours of listening to the slight edge and the compound effect. And those two things are really what have changed my perspective on life, not just in this business, but on life in general. There's a part of me that when I listen to it, when I listened to those, I was happy, but I was also angry and sad that I'd not listened to them when I was a teenager. Because I know by implementing those simple little things now each day, each and every day, over time, that something spectacular is going to happen. And we wonder, for years and years, I was busy. I was doing things. But I'd start so many things and I would never give it until the compound effect could kick in. I'd walk away. That's not quite worked. Oh, that's done all right. I'm going to do something else. So for me, just get that into your blood. That get the compound effect, the slight edge. Just fully understand it, and you will know, and you will never. When you know that, you'll never quit. You'll be scared to quit because I know that I might just be one step away from something absolutely magical happening, and that's because of the slight edge. Because over time, those little actions consistently are adding up. You don't know when you're that far away. You really don't know when it's just about to go boom. And that for me is what drives me and what's so exciting. So sort of nation qual, New Year's Eve, I was with my sister who's on here tonight, who's joined my business recently, which I'm so excited about as well to be working with her. New Year's Eve, I'm nation qual, 15,000 off completing. 7 o'clock, and literally no one's answering the phone at 7 o'clock on New Year. No one's putting any more QV through. So in my mind, I'd attached myself to this really happening. I'd made it probably too much about getting the title. I'd made it too much about me doing it in a certain amount of time, me being the quickest person to do it, me winning awards. And you know what? I'd probably forgotten about my team a little bit. And this for me was a massive learning curve. This for me, because let's say, well, where are we at now? Another 3 years on, and I'm at region, with a phenomenal business and things in a really good place, but not national vice president. So maybe for 6 months, a year after, this is where I had to dig deep and really get inside, because with pure activity, with pure belief, with pure determination, I'd got myself and my team, and we got to region. And this is the interesting thing about this business. Your journey, your real journey, might be at any level. It might be now as a consultant, whatever you're going through. It might be as a district manager. You might feel stuck there. You might be an area manager. And this is where you really start to learn about you and yourself. And this is when you realize that this business isn't about titles. When you realize that business isn't about you. This business is completely a journey of discovering yourself and understanding who you are and knowing, are you a fighter or are you a quitter? Now, I can look every day in the mirror, and this is what excites me. I look every day and I know that I'm a fighter. I know that I'm not a quitter. People have walked from my business. People have gone and joined other businesses. But you know what? Every single time one of them goes, every single time one of them quits, I get a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, a little bit so I know every time they leave, I know the slight edge with strength is kicking in and kicking into me. And all those people that are going and thinking that the grass is greener, guess what? I'm getting stronger. I'm getting more motivated, and this business is getting better. So just grab hold of that for a minute and just commit to yourself just right now, because there's never been a doubt. I've had rocky roads over them years after going nation qual, but like in a marriage or like in a true relationship, you're going to have those rocky roads. But I'm never going to quit, because that quitting feeling will last a whole lot longer than the feeling does when you feel like quitting. And that's the most important. When you can really get hold of that and understand that if you quit, you ain't quitting Arbonne. Arbonne's going to be $1 billion company soon. Arbonne's going to Germany soon. Arbonne's going all around Europe and all around the world soon, with or without you, with or without me. If I quit, I'm just quitting on me. I'm not quitting Arbonne. I'm a quitter. And that's it. So stay and fight and love every single step of the way. And that's what it was for me for the years, a couple of years after. Now, I had a time where I thought, well, I've done everything, I've tried everything. I'm just going to get to Nation. That's just going to happen now. It didn't. I had to then go and read. I had to go and, I started to really then plug into something a little bit deeper. Marianne Williamson, Wayne Dyer, those people are what started to really get me into the mode where I'm understanding that, all about ego and detaching yourself from that ego, that voice, that chimp, whatever you want to call it, to just be able to separate from that and to be able to understand what you're doing this for. So those two people, massive influences on me. So here today, sort of 4.5 years on now, and just onto the sort of quitting one. I've got an incredible lady in my business at the minute who's come sort of direct to me through people that have left. And when you meet people in this business, you meet certain people in this business, and when they walk into a room, when they open their mouth, that they're a national vice president, they're an executive national vice president, they're a top income earner. And she's recently sponsored a lady who's going to be moving to Australia soon, and she also is a national vice president. You just know. Now, for me, this is going to be a super leg. And for the people that left in between, they're gonna know as well that when that lady promotes to those levels. So just be aware of what you might be quitting as well. What you walk away. You're walking away from the most incredible people, the most incredible business and opportunities. And if you can live with that, then wow, that's powerful. But let me, 4.5 years on now, where my team is growing. We're building a phenomenal sort of team spirit, and Nation's just around the corner. The next few months, we're looking maybe August time, September time, around about AAC, we're going to be Nation, and that he said without a shadow of a doubt, because as an individual, I know I'm ready now. As a team, we're very close to being ready. We've got some incredible people, and that's just taken time. That's taken time, and this is a real sort of big thing for me. I've always been passionate about time, and not just how you use it, but understanding it as well, and understanding that time, we're in a process of becoming something. We're in a process of growing, and I hate things like the X factor. I really do, because it gives us this mindset. I hate before and after pictures, because we don't see process. We don't see hardship. We don't see what's actually gone on. Someone with a fat belly, someone with a six-pack, in our brain, that computes as instant. Someone winning X factor like that, it computes in our brain as instant. We go onto Facebook and Instagram and all these things all the time, and we're just bombarded with instant. You know what? It isn't, and that's what I love about Arbonne so much. It isn't instant. And this is, in an instant world, we've still got something like this that holds, for me, a certain amount of romance, because you've got to go from consultant and you have to grow to national vice president. And growing to national vice president isn't about getting a title, believe me. It's about becoming a leader, a person with compassion, with love, and with sacrifice, and a person that will do so much for other people. And that's what it's all about. So just be prepared for the process and enjoy it, because you don't know when that process is going to be happening. But again, like I say, relating back to the compound, relating back to the slight edge, plug into those, commit. And my God, you'll have a wonderful time. So my 3 top tips, I'm going to leave you this and I'm going to pass over to you, Danielle, because I'm sure I can't wait to hear from you. And I know my team on can't as well. First of all, first top tip, be ace. Be ace. And that essentially means activity, consistency, and engagement. And be consistently engaging in activity and vice versa with all 3 of them. Just be ace. 2, lock in your heart and mind that you will never quit. And that creates commitment, it creates belief, and it projects belief. And that's what we need to do in this business, is constantly be projecting belief. And that's where we're going to attract people into our life. Third, make it fun. Just make it fun. Don't take life too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. You'll have ups, you'll have downs, but just always make sure you can smile, you can laugh, and you can just enjoy it, and make sure everyone else enjoys it. Because if they're giving up their spare time to join you, then make sure you make it a fun environment for them, because that's what Arbonne's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm going to pass over now to Danielle Wells, and my God, I'm excited to hear from you. So thank you for being on.
Wow, Sean, flipping heck, that was absolutely incredible. Your energy, you can so see that you guys are ready to be a nation, because your energy is totally up there where all of the nations are that we see and admire and think, oh my gosh, they're untouchable. That is definitely where your energy is coming from. And I've seen you do a few calls over the past few years. When I first saw you and first saw you do a call, I thought you were absolutely incredible, and I still do. But the growth that you've had is almost unbelievable. It's absolutely, I'd love to hear what Fiona thinks, because Fiona's seen you so much more than what I have. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know how I'm really going to follow that, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So I'm going to share with you guys my story. And I do apologise for those that have heard this before, but for you guys that haven't, I obviously didn't grow up wishing that when I was older, I was going to be an Arbonne consultant. It absolutely wasn't on the agenda at all. I actually fell into ophthalmology. That was the career that I worked in. So I actually worked for Specsavers Opticians for 7 years. I had a really great career. And my only source of income was my Specsavers income. And my husband's only source of income was his income from being a tiler. So he sticks tiles on a floor and a wall on a kitchen and a bathroom. So in our household, we just had 2 incomes, my Specsavers income and his tiling income. And that was it. We had no plan B. We had no extra income streams anywhere. And it's the biggest regret of my life, not having any extra income streams. Definitely regret not having an Arbonne business when we really needed one. So I was working at Specsavers, and I went on to have my first child, had a daughter, and that was fabulous. You know, many of us on the call have got children of our own, and that's great. And when I was ready to go back to work, I decided to go back part-time. So I was kind of like juggling working part-time, being present with my daughter. And I think a lot of us on the call kind of like juggle that, whether we're mums, dads, we kind of juggle working and then being present with our children. But everything was fine, everything was good. Then we went on to have a second child. So we've actually got two daughters. When we went on to have a second child, I assumed, and I know that a lot of us kind of do this, we just assume things, and we really shouldn't. I assumed that life would be exactly the same. I'd have this beautiful second baby, I'd go back to work part-time, and everything would be all roses, go on 2 holidays a year, you know, all that. But actually, everything turned upside down when our second daughter was born. And the reason why was because the unpredictable happened to us. And I really believe that you always need to be prepared for the unpredictable to happen to you. And it might not happen to you like it did me, I'm not saying that, but at some point you may have the unpredictable happen to you, and you need to be prepared for impact. You need to have a plan B in place, because it's one of my biggest regrets. So basically, 5 years ago, gave birth to our second daughter, had a very normal pregnancy, had a very normal birth. But quite quickly after our daughter being born, the medical staff noticed that something wasn't quite right, something wasn't okay, and they whisked her off to have a CT scan, which is a bit like an MRI scan. And so she went in for this CT scan. She's only a few hours old at this point, and they discovered that she was having a brain hemorrhage, and they weren't sure of the extent of it. Now, as you can imagine, giving birth to a baby and then being told that this brand new baby with, you know, 10 beautiful little fingers, 10 beautiful little toes, you know, so precious, that this baby is having a brain hemorrhage, you know, you can't really comprehend it. It doesn't make sense. So then they sent her in for an MRI scan to find out the extent of it. And it turned out she was actually having an extensive brain hemorrhage. Her brain had filled with blood. She was having a stroke as well. And we were, me and my husband Ian, we were told by medical staff to basically prepare that she would not make it through to the next day. Like, she wouldn't even get to her 1 day survival. And it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely gut-wrenching. It was horrific. And our little baby, Ivana, called her Ivana, she spent a lot of time, she did make it through the first day, she spent a lot of time in her early life on life support, intensive care, high dependency wards, and all the way through, we started off by being told she wouldn't survive, and she did. Then we were told that she wouldn't make it past a few days, she did. And then we were told that she would have extensive brain damage. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. We were told she'd never walk, she'd never talk, you know, all of these different things. And by the way, she's 5 now, and she's an absolute little monster. Like, she's incredible. She's doing really, really great. But back then, what made that even worse, because that is terrible enough, but what made it even worse was the fact that we had a house and we had a toddler, because you've got to remember, I had another daughter as well, toddler, who was, Farah was 1, and we had bills. Like most of us on the call, we had bills. And when I was in hospital with Ivana, I lived in hospital with Ivana, we still had to pay our council tax, our rent, all of the outgoings that you have on a day-to-day basis. And all I was receiving was my statutory maternity pay, and my husband was being paid 0. The reason why he was being paid 0 was because he's a tiler, and he has one of those jobs where he only gets paid if he's actually doing something. So for anybody on the call that has one of those types of jobs where you literally only get paid if you show up and you do something, so obviously Ian had to put tiles in a kitchen or a bathroom to get paid. So because he wasn't tiling a kitchen and a bathroom, he was in hospital with his daughter, he wasn't getting paid. So therefore our bills were not getting paid, which meant that if we carried on this way, we would lose our house as well. And that's definitely not a situation we wanted to be in. So Ian made the really, like, to this day, I don't know how Ian made this decision every day. Ian made the horrendous decision every day. Ivana was only a few weeks old. He would make the decision to wake up in hospital, because we both were allowed to sleep at hospital with her. He'd give his little daughter, his like 2-week-old baby, a little kiss on the forehead, and basically with tears down his eyes say, "You've got to stay strong. Daddy's got to go to work. I'm sorry." And I'd see him leave the intensive care unit like a grown man crying, and he's not a crier. To see a grown man crying, knowing that he had to go to work and tile and not know if his daughter was going to be alive when he got back. And he had to do that every single day. And I do not know how Ian found that strength to do that every single day. And it makes me cross that we didn't have a plan B, because I tell you now, if somebody had told me about Arbonne prior to this happening and I'd built an Arbonne business, we would have had an Arbonne income every single month, so that my husband didn't have to go and tile when he really wanted to be with his daughter. And this is why I'm so passionate about this business, because Sean's already said, you know, the products are great, everything about the business is great, but it's so much more than that. It's so much deeper than just a product business. You are basically preparing you and your family for impact when you do not know what's around the corner. You genuinely do not know if tomorrow your child is going to be ill and you're going to be taken out of work for 6 months to care for that child, or if your parents, something might happen to your parents and you need to be with your parents for 6 months and not be at work, or if your spouse falls down the stairs and breaks their back and they're out of work for 6 months. You need to have an income every single month coming into your bank account that prepares you with a plan B, because you do not know when the unpredictable is going to happen. So going back to 3 years, Ivana was eventually discharged from hospital, which was fantastic, but we still had to go to the hospital all of the time to have checks. She had regular seizures, so I basically lived in hospital, and I had a toddler. Now, at this point, I knew I was never going to be able to go back to the opticians. It was not possible to be employed by somebody. How can you be employed by somebody and say, by the way, I probably spend most of my week in hospital and I never know when that's going to be, so I'm just going to have to pick up my phone when something's happened and I'm going to be off to the next city hospital. No one would employ me based on that. So I needed something else. The only thing was, I didn't know what else I could do that was going to bring in an income. I had no skills, I had no talents, I didn't have the ability to go and work for somebody. So I was definitely looking for something, but I didn't know what. And at this point, I'd never heard of Arbonne, and I definitely never heard of network marketing. And my friend, Emma Dickinson, who is now an executive district manager, but back then she'd just started an Arbonne business. She actually put something on Facebook. And I think this is really key. And I'm not saying use Facebook, saying, you know, join my team, you know, definitely don't do that. But telling people what it is that you do and having that sort of like curiosity factor is really, really interesting. And it interested me when I saw Emma's post. She didn't say anything about Arbonne. She just said she was working from home with her children. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I messaged her and she said, well, come over for a coffee and I'll tell you all about it, which is great. So when I went to go and see Emma, she barely told me anything. The reason why she barely told me anything is because she just started. She didn't have a clue. So if you're new on the call or you've been doing your business for a little while and you still don't have a clue, it's fine. You can actually still sponsor people without having a clue, because Emma definitely didn't. Emma said to me, have you ever heard of Arbonne? I said, no. She said, have you ever heard of network marketing? I said, no. And she said, well, have you ever heard that there are companies that sell products in shops and they have all of these toxins and all of these nasties in? I was like, no. Genuinely, I didn't have a clue. So she said, well, basically, there's a company called Arbonne and they only move their products through word of mouth recommendation and they're free of all the nasties. And people like me and you, if you want to do this with me, we get paid to use these products and talk about it. And I was like, my jaw hit the floor, because all I heard was, this is something that you can do. I definitely could do that. I can definitely use products and talk about them. And it was like somebody was opening a door to me. At this point, my youngest daughter was 2. So for 2 years, we'd been sinking further and further into debt because of our situation. In fact, oh God, we were massively, massively in debt. And nobody in that 2 years had opened a door to me and said, Danni, this is something that you can learn to do and you can be successful at it. So this gleaming light, this door opened and I was like, I'm all in. And the sad fact was, I couldn't actually afford £56. I didn't have £56. I didn't even have a £5. I was one of these that I would only fill my banger Fiesta with petrol, like with £5, because I didn't have enough money to ever fill it. I never knew how much filled my car because I couldn't afford to ever fill it. And I always think about that when I fill up the Mercedes now, because I always fill it up right to the top. And I'm always like, thank you, because you forget where you've come from. So I didn't have £56. But I couldn't say no, because no one else had come to me with a better opportunity. I could not say no. This was finally my chance to make my life better. This was my chance to start something that could enable Ian to stop working 7 days a week, which at this point he was. So I actually went home and I actually put the £56 on my husband's credit card, which I do not recommend anybody does, because that's really wrong, and I think that's borderline illegal as well, actually. But this is just what I did. I paid for the business on his credit card and I bought myself some products, because the reason why was because I knew that to get started in this business, I really needed to have integrity. If I was going to be telling people about what this brand was like, what this company was like, I needed to be using some of the products. So I bought myself, I think, 150 QV of products, got a free gift, and decided that I'd pay it all off before Ian even noticed, and I would start building up all the products so I could start trying more. And obviously Ian found out, of course, and I then started, he was all right about it, to be honest. He was all right, because I think he was just thinking, well, it's going to be something that's going to keep her busy. Because at this point I was quite depressed and suffering with anxiety, and I think he was just relieved that I was actually going to do something to get out of my mood. So I started building my business, and in this business there are 3 types of people, I think. You've got your walkers, your joggers and your runners, and it's absolutely fine wherever you are in your business. It's totally fine. And when I started, I knew I needed to be a runner because I needed to do this business to get us out of this situation. I needed to do this. I had a massive need. So I was all in from day one. And I literally started talking about this business and talking about these products to anybody within a meter radius. I was like, talk about Arbonne. Now, for me, in the beginning, all of my family and friends didn't take me seriously. They could see the products were great. They could see the company was fantastic. Obviously, it's a Swiss heritage, 37-year-old company. Now, that's obvious. But they didn't take me seriously. They didn't think that I would still be around in a year's time. So none of my friends and family really were on board. Tell a lie, my mother-in-law Suzanne was, sorry, I do apologise, who's on the call now. But most of them were not on board. So I had to start talking to people that I didn't know. I had to get out there and share this information with people I didn't know. I was never paralysed by the fear of not knowing how to do this business, even though I didn't know how to do it. I could easily 3 years ago have said, I don't know how to do this business. My sponsor was as new as me, so we were literally the blind leading the blind. But instead of focusing on what I can't do, and instead of focusing on all the things that I don't know how to do, and instead of focusing on the lack of people that I knew, I just went out there and made new friends and spoke to people about Arbonne. That was basically it. I didn't overcomplicate it. I just talked about Arbonne to as many new people as possible. Some of them didn't get it, some of them did. Some of them got it and didn't want to be involved, some of them did. It really didn't matter. That wasn't my job. My job wasn't to sponsor people. My job was to share this information with people. And I literally got myself out there and I had this massive drive to tell people that they needed a plan B. Whether that was Arbonne or not, it was none of my business. They needed a plan B and I needed to share my story so that they had a plan B in place so that they were prepared for impact when it happens. And a lot of people caught on to the vision of that and a lot of people saw what I was saying. So it took me 4 months to become a district manager, 6 months to be an area manager. And at this point, I was able to come home to my hard-working husband and say to him, you can drop some of your hours at work now. My Arbonne monthly income enables you to drop some of your hours. Now, can you imagine how that makes you feel when your partner's working so hard and you're actually able to contribute towards them easing up a little bit? You know, that's priceless, absolutely priceless. And then it took me 11 months to become a region. And I was so elated to be a region, mainly because, and it's not about the car, but mainly because so many people told me that the car didn't exist. I would never, ever earn the car. Never, never, never. And the car became quite a big deal, not because of the car, but because so many people were so nasty about it to me. So when I got the car, obviously I started driving around town so that people could see me, you know, went to the petrol station all the time so that the people that were rude to me in the petrol station could see my white Mercedes and on the school run and everything. So yeah, it's not about the car, but if you've got negative Nellies in your life and people that are rude to you, you need to work your business to the point of getting the car, because I tell you now, that is the best way to stop the negativity. Once people see that you've earned the car, they literally are like, oh right, wow, okay. So I've got 3 top tips as well, and I've actually got a little, I've put it on a bit of a slideshow. Oh, look, there's Sean's pictures again, look, lovely. Put some of my own pictures together as well. There we go, there's some of my pictures together. So I've got 3 top tips that I really want to share with you guys that I think are really going to help you with your business, whether you are a walker, a jogger, or a runner, whatever the journey is for you. So my first top tip is there are 7 main skills in this business of network marketing, and you can find them in a great book called GoPro by Eric Worre. If you're new to the business, you've never heard of this, I really recommend you get yourself onto Amazon or eBay and order the book and the audio. To be honest, I'd order both if you can, and get yourself learning from this book. This book tells us the only 7 skills that we need to master in network marketing. So my first top tip is to master the top 2 skills as soon as possible. Obviously, you need to know all 7, but to get started, master the first 2, which is finding new people to speak to and then inviting them to take a look. If you can master those first top 2 skills, you are going to set yourself up some massive momentum. Now, I don't know if anyone here has ever heard of the 10,000 hour rule, but it's a really interesting concept and it applies to lots of different things. So I'm not sure if it was Malcolm Gladwell that came up with it, or if he just talked about it in his book Outliers. But basically, they say that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. So if you are, say, Tiger Woods playing golf, it took him 10,000 hours of practice playing golf to master being a professional golf player. It took the Beatles, I think I've got a picture of the Beatles as well. There we go. It took the Beatles 10,000 hours of practice singing together as a group before they became famous, before they became an expert. So if it's going to take us 10,000 hours of Arbonne time to be an expert in this business, and like Sean said, he was up and down the country, he was listening to audios, he was fitting in his segments of hours all over the place. He didn't just wait for his 2 days off in the week. He was literally putting these hours in all over, because you've got to start clocking up these 10,000 hours of practice. So a little bit of maths for you. If we need to put in 10,000 hours to be an expert at network marketing, let's divide that by the 7 skills. So we've got those 7 skills that I showed a second ago. Go back to the 7 skills. So those are the 7 skills. So if we divide 10,000 hours by those 7 skills, that means that each one skill requires roughly 1,400 hours. Okay? So what I want you to do for my first top tip is to put that time in to the top 2 skills. So skill number 1 is network, make new friends, meet new people. So start putting some hours into skill number 1 and start putting some hours into skill number 2, which is invite people to have a listen. Don't worry about the others for now. They obviously will come and they're just as important. But my first top tip to build up momentum is start mastering the top 2 skills. So if you're a walker, so if you're just building your business and you're just chilling out and there's no urgency, which is fine. If you did 1 hour a day of your Arbonne business, so you put 1 hour a day in, and let's say you do it for 5 days a week, every week of the year, that means you're going to build up 260 hours. So you're obviously not going to build up the 10,000 hours as quickly as what a jogger or a runner would. So you're starting to have a feel of actually what it is you need to do to match up with where you want to be. When I started, I was a runner. I was all in. I needed to make this work fast. So if that's the case, if you need to make this work fast, if you're all in and you've got to go, you can't be doing 1 hour a day. It's absolutely fine to work 1 hour a day in your business, but do not expect to be a national vice president fast. You need to kind of put it into context. So if you're a jogger and let's say you're doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, every week of the year, that builds up to 520 hours of that skill you're building up. And then if you're a runner, let's say you're working 4 hours a day in your business, so like Sean was, in between everything else, 5 days a week, every week of the year. That's over 1,000 hours that he's logged in to learning these skills. So my first top tip is get started putting hours into mastering the top 2 skills from GoPro. All of the skills are important, but if you really want to get in and you want to get motivated and you want to build up momentum, really focus on the top 2 skills, which is making new friends and inviting people. Now, when I say don't worry too much about the rest of the skills at the moment, you will need to learn them. But the reason why you don't need to worry about them at the moment if you're new is because you can use tools to help you with the rest of the skills. You can take somebody new that you've met and that you've invited to a Discover Arbonne. Genius. All you've got to do is take them along and buy them a drink and then let the presenters present the business. And if your guest, your new friend, starts asking you questions, you can actually enlist the help of the people sat around you to answer their questions. You can just say, I'm really new, or, I've only really started getting going with my business. I'll get somebody else to answer that for you. You can use other people to do the rest of the skills for you. Then you've got your upline that can help you. So you can meet somebody new, you can invite them to take a look, and then you can book a one-to-one with them for a coffee and take somebody in your upline along with you. You can use videos, you can use events. There's lots of tools that you can use. So my first top number 1 tip is master the first 2 skills from GoPro. So meeting new people and inviting them to take a look. Okay, top tip number 2 is you've got to get to work. You have to get to work. So I really don't want you to be paralyzed by fear. I want you to just accept that making mistakes means that you're growing. Look at what Sean said. All these things were happening that a lot of people would have been crumbled by, but he just accepted that all that happens when you're on the way to growth. When you're on the way to nation, that happens. That's just growth. And that's exactly what I did. I was failing forward, but I was growing as it happened. So I want you to think about this. Imagine somebody offers you a rundown house like this. Let's say it's that house there. Somebody offers you this house and they tell you it's £56 to buy this house. You've just got to put the effort in to do it up. And you're like, yeah, challenge accepted. So let's say you work full-time, 40 plus hours a week, or if you're taking care of children or parents or taking care of somebody, that counts in my eyes as a full-time job. So let's say you're working a full-time job and you've got this house that you bought for £56 and you need to do it up because your goal is, once that house is done up, you're going to be able to rent it. And when you rent it, you're going to be earning, let's say, £1,000 a month from the rental income from this property. Fantastic. But before you start earning £1,000 a month from the rent from this house, you've got to do it up. So let's say you're working your full-time job, you get home and it's 6 o'clock and you have your tea and you're tired and you think to yourself, oh, I really want to sit on the sofa and just put the news on or watch Home and Away or watch whatever it is that's on the telly. I can't really be bothered to get into my work clothes, my rough clothes, and go and start working on the house that I need to start doing up. You know, that's a decision that you then need to make. So let's say that you do eat your tea and then think, right, I've got 2 hours now before bed. I'm going to go along to my house and start fixing it up. Fantastic. You're going to start logging those 10,000 hours of work. You might only be 2 hours at a time each night after work, but you're going to start fixing that house up. And once you've done that for 10,000 hours, which might take you a year, depending on if you're a walker, it might take you 2 years if you're a jogger, it might take you 4 years. Sorry, I've done that the wrong way around. A year if you're a runner. If you're a walker, it might take you 4 years. It really doesn't matter because it's your house to do up. But once it's done up, you're going to earn £1,000 a month from it. Do you feel motivated to get into your rough clothes after work and go and put 2 hours a day into doing that house up? Because I tell you what, this is exactly how I saw my business. I saw my business as a £56 wreck, like what that is there, or shell. Let's call it a shell. It's not a wreck, it's a shell. And every day when I'd finished my job and my job was looking after my children, I was tired. Did I want to go and work on my shell? No, I did not, but I needed to, because the sooner I started logging those 2 hours each day, sometimes 4 hours I was putting in, sometimes I was even putting in 6 hours, the sooner I was getting working away on my house, the sooner that house was built, the sooner I started earning £1,000 a month from my beautiful house with the rental income. Now that is how you need to look at your business. Your business is a shell. Once you've finished your day job, whatever it is that you do, you need to make the decision every single day, am I going to start chipping away at the 10,000 hours that I need to invest into my business so that once it's built, it's going to give me that income every single month. And that's how I want you to think about how your Arbonne business works, because it's no different. It's exactly the same. So that's my second top tip. Right, my third top tip is I took this from Fiona McCarthy, who took this from Frances Hogan, so totally stolen this. Top tip number 3, my final top tip is QB is just energy. I love this. When Fiona said this to me the other day, I gasped. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, QB is just energy. It really is just energy. And I see a lot of wind turbines where I live. I don't know about you guys, but there's wind turbines everywhere here. And the only time those wind turbines spin is when there's energy touching the propellers. So the wind is the energy. The more wind that starts gushing those propellers round, the more they spin. And I really liken this to our business, because the more that we put energy into our business, the more it grows. And I kind of feel like when you start your business, it's quite narrow. Start your business like this, it's quite narrow. And then you start putting energy into it by reading books, and the energy starts widening. And then you start going to events and the energy widens. And then you start sponsoring, and then the energy widens. And it just grows and grows and grows before can't even control it. The energy is just taken away. It's just off. It's off on its own accord. And anybody that's built their business to sort of like district or area or beyond will resonate with this. The more that you grow, the more you seem to attract into your business. You start attracting things that start happening. You can't even explain it. You'll say, you know, somebody came out of nowhere that I've not spoken to in years to ask me about a product, and it literally just appears from nowhere, but it's actually the energy. So the energy that you have going on, the energy that you have, that is the amount of QV that you're going to attract onto your dashboard. And it sounds absolutely bizarre. When somebody first said that to me in the beginning, I was like, what is she talking about? But it's so true. The QV is simply just energy. So the more you build your energy, the more that QV is going to grow. So I just put a couple of ideas down on how to help yourself grow that energy. So attending events grow my energy so much. When I come back from the UK conference, which is in September, or the global conference, which is in April in Las Vegas, each time I come back from these two events, my business quadruples. It is insane because my energy is like bam, 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 bam. So that attracts more into my business. When I go to Discover Arbonnes, I make it my mission to go to at least 2 Discover Arbonnes a month, if not more, because, and it's funny, because my husband said to me once, why do you go to these Discover Arbonnes? You know the slides, you know, you might not have any guests with you, you know, why are you going? And I said to him, because you're never, ever too good to learn something new. Every time I go to a Discover Arbonne, even if the presenters are at the consultant level and they say to me at the end, like, oh, I'm really sorry, you know, you probably didn't learn anything from me. I'm like, are you kidding me? Absolutely, I learned something. Doesn't matter who you're listening to, they bring something different to the table and you learn from it. And also I said to my husband, by going to these events, I'm surrounded by people that are on the same mission that I'm on. My energy is higher. So going to these events is going to literally power on that energy, and that in turn is going to grow your QV. Getting onto team trainings, reading your books, listening to audios, going to corporate events, all of these things are going to grow your energy. So that is going to reflect in your QV. Now, when I was starting my business, I didn't have much energy about me. I didn't really read. I didn't listen to audios. I hadn't been to any of the events. So my energy was quite low. So my QV was quite low. But as I started to grow and as I started to implement these reading dailies and listening to audios dailies and all of these things, it was like magic. It was like the more I grew, the higher my energy was, the more my QV grew. And it is so true. So QV is simply energy. So if you want to grow your QV, you need to grow your energy. So there's lots of different ways to do that, but that's just a few ideas. So that's it from me and my top tips. Sean, was there anything that you wanted to say? I realised I do ramble.
Just about how wonderful that was, and thank you for joining together and doing this call tonight and talking about energy and what you're saying there. It is so important. You know, I've heard you speak before as well, but my energy now that I'm taking from you, that I'm going to wake up with on a Monday, is going to be absolutely on fire. And thank you so much for sharing tonight. You're amazing, and I know your nation's there is ready. So just was wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you so much, everybody, for getting on tonight. Have an amazing week tomorrow. Let's start the week fresh and let's go. Let's do this. Woo!
Let's do the energy. Thank you so much, everybody. Loved sharing with you tonight. I'll see everyone very soon. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye.